What is philosophy? At first glance, it may sound like an abstract subject reserved for professors in dusty classrooms or ancient thinkers long gone, but philosophy is not just an academic pursuit. It's one of the oldest and most practical tools we have for understanding ourselves and the world around us. At its core, philosophy is about asking the deepest questions. What is real? What is true? How should I live? And whether we realize it or not, each of us practices philosophy in everyday life, every time we pause to reflect on our choices, our values, or our purpose. The word philosophy comes from the Greek philosophia, the love of wisdom. Wisdom is different from knowledge. Knowledge is facts, data, information. Wisdom is knowing how to use that knowledge to live well. From the beginning, philosophy has been less about memorizing answers and more about learning how to think, how to reason, and how to live a meaningful life. The earliest philosophers in Greece, India, and China weren't just armchair thinkers. They were explorers of the human condition, trying to understand how we should act, how we should govern, and how we should find peace of mind. When people hear the word philosophy, they often imagine complicated jargon or endless debates. But philosophy doesn't begin in complexity. It begins in wonder. Socrates, often called the father of Western philosophy, once said that the unexamined life is not worth living. What he meant is that if we go through life without ever questioning why we believe what we believe, why we value what we value, or why we pursue what we pursue, we risk living on autopilot, guided by assumptions rather than by understanding. Philosophy invites us to slow down, to look at life's big questions head-on, and to seek clarity. So what exactly does philosophy study? Traditionally, philosophy has been divided into branches. Metaphysics asks about the nature of reality. What exists? Is the universe material, spiritual, or both? Do we have free will, or are our actions determined? Epistemology focuses on knowledge. What can we truly know, and how do we know it? Ethics explores morality. What is good? How should I live? What do I owe to other people? Logic studies the structure of arguments, teaching us how to separate sound reasoning from flawed reasoning. Aesthetics asks about beauty, art, and meaning. And political philosophy looks at how societies should be organized, what justice is, and how power should be distributed. These branches overlap, but together they form a map of the questions that have defined human thought for thousands of years. Yet philosophy is not just about abstract theories, it's about practice. Think of ethics. When you wrestle with whether to tell a painful truth or offer a comforting lie, you're doing ethics. When you question whether technology is helping or harming our humanity, you're engaging in philosophy of technology. When you wonder if beauty is objective or in the eye of the beholder, you're touching aesthetics. These questions live in our daily decisions, not only in textbooks. Across history, philosophers have offered frameworks to guide life. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, taught that we should focus only on what's within our control and cultivate inner resilience. The Buddhists taught mindfulness and the impermanence of all things. Aristotle argued that happiness, or eudaimonia, comes from living a life of virtue and balance. Confucius emphasized harmony in relationships and respect within society. Nietzsche challenged us to overcome our limitations and create our own values. Each tradition offers different answers, but all are rooted in the same impulse: to live deliberately rather than blindly. A common misconception is that philosophy is about having answers. In truth, philosophy is more about learning how to ask better questions. Answers shift across time and culture. What was considered just, true, or beautiful in one era may not be the same in another. But the skill of questioning, of thinking critically, of testing ideas, of refusing to accept things at face value, that is timeless. In a world overloaded with information, Philosophy trains us to slow down and sort signal from noise, to reflect before reacting, and to live with intellectual humility. Another misconception is that philosophy is impractical. But think about it. Our laws are shaped by political philosophy. Our scientific methods are grounded in epistemology. Our personal decisions reflect our moral philosophy, whether we admit it or not. Even choosing a career, pursuing relationships, or deciding how to spend time are rooted in questions like, what is valuable? What is meaningful? What is a good life? Far from being impractical, philosophy is the foundation beneath every other field of human knowledge. In today's world, philosophy may be more necessary than ever. Technology bombards us with distractions. Social media accelerates opinions, and we are constantly pressured to move fast and decide instantly. Philosophy reminds us to pause. It gives us the courage to sit with uncertainty, to think carefully about what matters, and to resist being swept away by trends or shallow noise. It offers not just theories but tools, reflection, dialogue, reasoned debate that allow us to navigate complexity with clarity. For the beginner, starting with philosophy can feel intimidating. But you don't need to dive into 1,000-page books right away. Begin with the questions that matter to you. What do you believe is right and wrong, and why? What do you think makes life meaningful? Do you believe in free will, or do you think our choices are determined by forces outside us? Then, look at how great thinkers have wrestled with those same questions. Read short works. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, Plato's Dialogues, Epictetus's Handbook, or even modern introductions that summarize key ideas. Discuss them with others. Most of all, reflect on how these ideas shape the way you live. Philosophy is not a spectator sport, it's a practice. By studying philosophy, you may not find absolute certainty. In fact, philosophy often leaves us with more questions than we began with. But this is its gift. It teaches us to live with curiosity, to sharpen our thinking, and to build a compass for navigating the unknown. Instead of giving us a map with all the destinations marked, philosophy trains us how to read the terrain, how to make sense of the journey, and how to walk it wisely. So, what is philosophy? It is the love of wisdom, the art of asking deep questions, the courage to think for yourself, and the pursuit of a life that is examined, deliberate, and meaningful. And the invitation is open to anyone willing to begin. If you found this introduction helpful, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What philosophical question fascinates you most? Share it in the comments, because the conversation is where philosophy truly comes alive. And if you want more guides like this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next journey into the world of ideas.